I am going to be cautiously optimistic about the potential to come out from Astralis on the inside of this map. I think that they are going to really bring a very strong strategy to the table. We'll really have to wait and see how the attacks go, and thankfully, we're not going to have to wait long as they start out on that side. Thatcher's going to be our first ban, and it's a pick from Beast Coast to get rid of that, so no surprises there. Nomad being banned out by Astralis as well, not going to be too much of a far cry from what we have seen in past maps there. Nomad can be incredibly useful for anti-roam utility to fend off those late pushes that might come from the defenders, so getting rid of that is going to make that not an option. Mira, once again, falling in line pretty much with what we've been seeing over the past few months, and in Mira's case, years, quite often.
Yeah, I really expected the mirror ban here. I expected a Flores ban to come through on the offense as well, as both of these teams had previously prioritized that on Cafe, but Flores is actually going to make it through, so it could be another key piece that we could see come into the fold for the offense. Valkyrie will be removed on the defensive end, so get rid of a couple of those cameras, make things a little bit softer in the info department for Astralis to try and push through. Beast Coast is not going to be starting in the default spot. They'll be headed downstairs, but we've got some other stuff to talk about as well, because, well, Astralis, they're not going to be going too far away from what they were playing previously. They actually have a 100% play rate with Lion as well as Yana, Habana, and Sledge for their offensive lineup, so they're going to be keeping a couple of those pieces, but they're going to be adding Finka into the mix with her recent buff.
Let's take a look here once again and see what type of strategy we're going to get coming up onto the table here now as we'll be heading down into the kitchen and service defense from Beast Coast. Nothing too crazy coming out as far as the operator picks are concerned for this defensive lineup. Main thing that's going to be missing from this is to be something such as like a Goyo for those extra shields to be thrown out, but that's not required in this situation, in my opinion, by any means. They've instead brought in some different forms of utility, most notably bringing the Echo into the fold here for the potential denial in the couple of seconds if the two teams end up getting split up from each other, as so often happens if Astralis goes for that hatch drop along with the VIP push that causes that split to come to bear. We'll see in a few moments, though, how this all comes out, as Astralis will need to do plenty of work to clear that out. Both the Finka and the Lion in play means that there's a lot of utility to use here and a lot of aggressive potential to come from Astralis' game plan. So let's see how exactly they're going to play it, whether it'll be a direct contestation on the horizontal side or if they're going to work their way top to bottom as we are used to seeing teams do here.
And some other interesting stuff here for Beast Coast as well. Besides Cafe, Bank, and Coastline, which each have one play, the only other map that Beast Coast has played is Chalet with 6 plays. So this is going to be their second time going to a map here, or doubling up on one, rather. And Cafe is actually the only other map that they have a win on up against Xset. So it's going to be interesting to see what they can get done here. They have pretty positive win rates on both sides of the coin on this map, so should be pretty easy no matter what side they start off on, just statistics-wise. But again, it's up to Astralis and what they can possibly do here. They're going to be starting off on this top floor clear, and this should be pretty simplistic. Beast Coast will be holding things up around the white stairs just to try and limit Astralis or delay a little bit of this intel going further into the round.
Pretty slow rolling affair so far for both of our teams here, but Astralis is going to try to speed that up a little bit over the next few moments here, specifically with this contest that is nearly going to go down over towards the white stairs. Young Alec was at the second floor transition, but has moved back down because there is going to be additional pressure coming in from Garage as well. Retro with the pre-fire angle to find Alex, executes him as he tries to work his way all the way back down towards the bottom floor. That opens up a clean pathway for the other two members of Astralis that are working their way down white right now. A lot of progress already made from this attack, and we're still under halfway through the round.
It's been a great pinch so far from Astralis. They wanted to deal with Freezer. You know that the VIP position is here, but since Beast Coast have these players around white, they're able to just pinch from both sides. Reach open garage is give them that angle, be able to abuse the stairwell, be able to get that first pick onto Alec. Now for Beast Coast, it's slow things down, try and get this man count back into your favor. Astralis still has all this utility to deal with, as well as plenty of time to be able to break up this floor and really start taking it to these defensive members. It's where a lot of these anchor positions are going to come into play, specifically around the bunker area. No ranged soft breach here for Astralis, so they won't be able to get the angle to abuse that space. So it could be a safe space for Beast Coast later on down the line, but they're still sticking to their guns, especially around the VIP space here. Iconi's going to take down Sip, and things are getting all the more difficult, especially for Anthony, as he's just getting hounded upon from these stun grenades. Iconic's going to be able to get one, but he gets immediately refrag from foes on one side of the site, though. Retro, he'll double down. J9, right, he'll add on to things from the ceiling. And Astralis, they'll take their first round, and I'm already going to call it, John. They're looking a little different. They're looking a little different.
if that is even a stark indicator of what we had in comparison from last week, if we're going to see any form of consistency on that play right there coming from Astralis, this is already a massive improvement from their play last week. So great stuff coming out from them. Time to see if they can continue it, as obviously that didn't go too well for Beast Coast. So they're not going to reattempt the same thing down on the first floor. They lost far too much of the map far too quickly. At a minute and a half, Astralis already pretty much had what they needed to execute, so they're going to try going for the third floor hold instead. Let's see how this is going to change things up, as in terms of play style, this one will be a little bit different. Beast Coast will basically be right next to Astralis the entire time during this round, and will have to try their best to delay them from getting those couple crucial steps forward that, while they're difficult for Astralis to make, once they're done, the rest of the attack will be much, much easier.
Yeah, I think as of right now, Beast Coast just need to drop anything that's going to be super cheesy. Because the stairwell thing was a little bit of cheese. I'm just going to put that out there. As for Astralis, it was very simple for them to counteract that. We all saw it. I mean, it was very easy to just bust open the garage, hold the angle, and wait for anybody to rotate down. Already had the pressure coming in from the top, and there really wasn't anything else for the Beast Coast members to exactly do. They can try and escape to the second floor, but they're more than likely going to die from the other Astralis members that'll be in that space shortly. So it's just difficult for them inside of that area. And it works for Beast Coast for a time, but once Astralis are able to grasp a hold of all of the other, odds and ends that they really need, there's nothing really for the BC team to do. So anyways, for Astralis, it's looking really solid right now. I think that it was a little bit simplistic for them early, so yeah, I think that they're definitely playing a lot better as a team, and that's really why I'm excited to see what they're going to do for the rest of this offensive half. But I still think there's a couple of things that we need to see them go through before we're really like, oh yeah, these guys have changed up so much here. And Cafe is definitely going to be that test here. We talk about this map all the time and how you have to use your utility to try and fight up against this defense with how things are set up. And well, Astralis are starting off strong again. This time it's going to be on to Jay. 0-2 right now for him, and for some reason, a smoke caught off guard in a place that he just shouldn't be.
2-0 on the entry game now for Astralis as well, at least as far as initial kills are concerned, and we're going to improve that even further now. Retro, okay, a little bit greedy from him as he tries to go back in against Sip, and when those initial pre-fires do not make the connection, I believe to him being traded out, but not a massive loss at this point in the round for Astralis, seeing as they still have a 4v3 in their favor. 5v3 obviously would have been much better to work things out, but major loss there is going to be the utility more than anything. Those additional EE1D charges that could have come out from Retro. Certainly what will be missed more instead of his body in that specific situation. Beast Coast now going to take a quiet moment to themselves as well. A few players still roaming out and about, specifically Anthony downstairs. He could very much become the make or break player in the inside of this round now because of his outset position. Whereas the other two on Beast Coast more than likely going to be well secured near the site and have to play into those positions the best of their capability. We can see one of them set up now from Sippin' Fozo as well, back over towards Cocktail. He'll be the one more than likely directly challenging the push when it finally comes through for Astralis, so he's the important one to look for when it comes to the initial contact. However, the hesitation that's coming out now from Astralis is also allowing for players like Sippin to push forward a bit more. Anthony, who's rejoined the fight on the third floor, is also starting to put pressure down Whitehall.
Yeah, Astralis still trying to figure out what they want to do with the advantage that they currently have. Obviously, the man advantage is the biggest thing playing into this, but they were looking toward the skylight for a moment there, but now it could seem that a heaven play could be coming in soon. You can see Iconic still working the windows here towards the Cocktail side as well, and a frag grenade going to pour in from J9. Just adopted that a little while ago, but the refrag starting to come through. It'll knock itself down to a 2 versus 2 here with 30 seconds remaining, but Shuttle's got great positioning here inside of Cocktail. He's got the case as well, so could plant this at any moment, but he's going to start motioning towards bar. They know someone's inside at Christmas. The easy shots, but he's going to miss a couple crucial ones. Sippin will stay alive. J9 with the overwatch, but it's more towards Freezer right now, and Shuttle's going to take quite a bit of damage. Oh, almost a little bit too much heat. He'll actually get taken out from Sippin as he tries to challenge. It'll be a triple for him on the round, and now J9 inside of the clutch. Can he get it done? Getting tracked on the bulletproof, and it's simple for Sippin yet again. Finds yet another angle, and no one aware of what's going on, and Beast Coast fire back on the top floor.
Some great late round aggression coming out there inside of the 2v2 from Sippin, as well as his other teammates still alive in that situation there. Beast Coast worked the positioning that they have, although it was limited, very, very well for themselves, and put Astralis into an awkward out in the open position towards the site. Unfortunately, their first plant attempt is not as supported as well as they would have liked. You can see damage going out onto that planter, and then over a period of about 20 seconds or so, Beast Coast just slowly bleed those players out and find them in exposed positions where they can take them down. Excellent work there, not to just say consistent on the site, yes, but unfortunately a little bit easy to read, which would have allowed for Astralis to potentially make a straightforward execute. That did not happen. Beast Coast instead take the aggressive foot forward, take the play to Astralis, and are able to win it out there.
I like how we got to that limbo period there for Astralis, and they tried to make some adjustments, right, to make that play work for them. They end up adjusting a couple of players across the board and get some really crucial picks, but Beast Coast are able to fight back in that time. I think that's the biggest thing there for me that was highlighted in that round, is that Astralis giving Beast Coast time there was the killer. They're able to make their adjustments on their side and get in some very key defensive positions, and also some key shots from Shuttle missed. I mean, if he takes out Sippin in that first fight, that round goes completely differently. So a couple of things that Astralis probably want back, but still a long road ahead of them for this defensive side. As for Beast Coast, they're going to be showing a similar face, rather, but this time they're going to be holding that mid-floor for reading as well as dining. Still going to have the usual cast of characters that we see on the defense as well, but we're going to have the Echo in yet again here, because I do believe that we had him in the last round as well.
He was for sure on the first round. I know.
Oh, it was the first one. Okay.
Uncertain if we had him carried over.
It, you know.
Yeah, definitely a possibility they could have had the second, but I will be honest, and I did not pay super close attention to the defending operators there, so won't be able to remember too well. Either way, though, Beast Coast bring it back for their third attempt to defend things, and while the second has gone well for them, we need to see how a second floor defense is going to potentially break their own defensive mold here and force even more out of this Beast Coast roster. Has been doing quite well over the past few weeks. I'll not necessarily say the same for Astralis, who specifically last week struggled to a major degree on their attack, seemed to be already making improvements based on the performance back in round one, but now as well, while things started out fine in the second round, some issues losing players as they continue to put pressure in from the rappel, and then other issues on the site plague them, which stopped them from playing a second consecutive round, and now they're going to look for it here instead, but they're having issue clearing out this extended hold up on the third floor right now from BC.
The good news right now for Astralis is that they've kept Retro alive. They lost him very early the last time, and that could have been a reason as to why the play ended up breaking down in the way that it did. Didn't have access to those EE1Ds that would have limited Beast Coast's potential to rotate around the map. But as for Astralis now, he's a little bit more patient this time. Already halfway through things and starting to crunch on this top floor, but Beast Coast, they're still ready to reside in this area. 3 people here, 2 over towards the freezer hallway, towards Stacks. Gonna be holding this white door for a time. Astralis not truthfully going for anything just yet. Patience, these Beast Coast members, I'm going to start off popping off now. It's going to be Sippin in behind the shield here for Cocktail. He's going to get dusted early as J9 able to get a kill in from Heaven as well. And this is all going to go so very wrong for Beast Coast. They'll finally Bozo's able to get one, but Iconic, he'll hop in through Hell Door and get one inside of sight. Anthony, he'll be able to refrag, but not before Shuttle's able to take him down as well. And it's a 1 versus 3 for Jay.
Shuttle continuing to look for Jay at this point, but Jay, unfortunately, going to be a little bit more elusive than it would first appear. As you can see him moving around fairly quickly. He's going to go onto these Echo drones now, see if he can use them to get intel on where the push is coming from. He's obviously going to be very careful about this, as he'll be immobile while inside of them. But thankfully, in this situation, he reads it correctly. He's probably getting fed some good intel from his teammates there, too. He's able to avoid death from the corner. The E1D charge. This is where it gets very difficult for him. They're going to catch his movement for short. They'll know. He'll shift himself over towards the white stairs spot. But there we go. First interrupt going out against the plant. This is where the preset on the Echo drones pays off. But not if Iconic is going to swing out and instantly headshot him again, as Iconic will save the day here from Astralis instead and allow them to claim a second round.
You know, I've been respecting the spear picks for a lot of the Finkas that we've been seeing, but the LMG, just time and time again, just seems to be the gun when you use that character. You know, just being able to have no recoil in over 100 rounds, that just doesn't seem like you wouldn't want to go with anything else. It's like a match made in heaven. Iconic's been using it to a T today, and he's going to get yet another one there at the end of the round. Astralis starting to come back to form, all things considered, as the team play seems to be in full today. Not losing players early and really able to abuse these picks, especially their team plays they've had on that top floor and the executes that they've had up against these Beast Coast members. It's been too hot to handle for a time. Although Beast Coast in that second round obviously able to fight back. They're going to head back to the kitchen now that they had on the first round where we saw that Echo instead of the second one, like we said earlier. So Jay will be back onto that. I'm hoping that we don't see this hole around the white staircase again. That's what we saw the last time, but as we talked about it previously, there's really no escape for them at that point. If you want to get into the second floor, that's not really a safe space. Yeah, you can try and hold space, but you're more than likely going to die to the offense anyways, and that's why we usually see on those extended holds where the defense will actually end up popping the freezer hatch so they have an area to drop back because white stairs is so unsafe. So for Astralis, this is more than likely going to be checking things out in a very similar fashion, but for Beast Coast, I'm hoping to see something a little bit different.
Well, let's see if Beast Coasts are going to potentially change the shape to any huge degree here. We've got Astralis working their way out. There is going to be a bit of an active contestation going on for Beast Coast up on the second and third floors, but this is more just poking than anything here. No long-term commitment more than likely going to come out from either of these positions we've seen so far. Astralis, of course, is going to work plenty on droning most of those positions out regardless. It's going to be a bit difficult for the Beast Coast players to find their marks as a result of that. The more to be caught potentially sitting over here, although Anthony's certainly trying to distract away from Alex's position there behind the bar itself. Unsure if the drone went deep enough to be able to see him out, but he is going to be prepared for the fight now after they have been flushed away. Speaking of things getting flushed, one player does drop down into the red hatch area, and Alec, I believe, has heard it. He's going to try to move forward to catch this player. It's DP Fire, and both of them are going to get brought incredibly low. DP Fire, unfortunately, the loser out of that situation. Now neither will be able to get the kill. They both are going to try to chuck explosives at each other, but the attack wins the race in this situation. DP Fire survives that fight, but just barely at a sliver of HP here. And now Astralis need to move beyond this point. That'll be their next task.
Astralis playing so well off these EE1Ds right now, able to get the early read onto Alec. He makes an aggressive play for Red that honestly I thought was going to work out, but just couldn't get the SMG-11 to land. And frag grenade comes in from J9 at a perfect time, in part with that EE1D as well, able to hold him still inside of Hut. And now Beast Coast down a member yet again, but a lot of damage dealt to DP Fire and no way to heal him up, although Iconic is going to mark my words, actually, as he will be back on the Finca here. Hasn't dropped that one just yet. Still got to get used to having that thing in the mix. I mean, it's been such a long time that Finca's been in the game overall, and now that she's finally getting comp play, I mean, it's really nice to see, but still something to get used to at the end of the day. So going to have some options in the healing department for DP Fire, so that's going to assist them going into this last minute. But speaking of that last minute, there's a lot of stuff to still get done. Look at all of this flooring that shouldn't be here, J9. We need somebody with a big hammer to come in and break all of this up.
This is going to be a very, very quick build-up towards an execute. No time to open up that hatch either, meaning they're going to have to directly swing downstairs here and hope that J9O will get a winning angle or two so that they can prime the site for that even slightly easier bit of an execution here. Team's going to run forward. DP Fire does spot out one of the yokais, but Sippin as well is going to have the cross covered from the front door, meaning another member of Astralis could get cut off before they have a chance to contribute here. It's going to be Iconic as well, but Sippin cannot meet his mark. He's forced into the corner as every single nade under the rainbow is going to be thrown his way. Astralis did make an entry over towards VIP. Sippin's able to hold while completely blind in the meanwhile, but DP Fire will exchange. It's now Sippin and Jay in the site versus all of the attacking. What are you doing? Shuttle trying to shoot the yokais. He shoots his teammate in the butt instead. Plant trying to go down onto the ground. Here's the attempt from Shuttle. There we go. It's the interrupt from Beast Coast as they take the round instead.
Oh no, I feel like I'm watching Border again. Oh, this is, oh man, that's, yeah. You hate when it comes down to that. You just do. You just do. When it comes down to an echo play after such a solid load time execute for Astralis, it's just not meant to happen that way. But no one hearing the yokais. And the biggest thing there for me is that the yokai goes to the ceiling and then Retro just stares at the thing. He's like, I don't know if I'm supposed to shoot it. I don't really know what happens. And then the guy turns around and stops the plants. Like, oh, that's just so unfortunate. But Beast Coast are going to steal one away. It's going to be 2-2 now. As Astralis, honestly, they're going to lose a round that they more than likely should have had there. It's going to be reading room defense now for Beast Coast after they get away with that one. And they're going to be changing things up yet again here. We're going to have Jay off of the Echo, which we saw make some big plays there, although he doesn't have a kill yet. Able to win some rounds for his squad, and now we'll see if he can do it again with this pulse play.
Great delay work coming out there from Beast Coast with the third floor hold. Even though the player involved in it ends up going down, I believe it was Jay in that situation there, still is able to waste a good amount of time.
Oh, are you talking about Alec all the way up in Hut?
Oh, yeah. Sorry, it was Alex up there. My bad. Yeah, whoever was hiding out behind Cigar. That wastes a good amount of time there, and obviously, as we see there, it has immediate ringing effects on the outcome of the round, too, as Astralis does not have the appropriate amount of time to open up their top downs as they work their way onto the second floor and try to set themselves up for that with their sledge and move forward from that point. This combined with a couple other unfortunate turns of events for Astralis in that round caused them to lose it, such as Sippin coming out on top with the win on his coat check duel despite being completely blinded out from it.
Yeah, Sippin has been playing so very well today, and that's just another moment where he's able to make something happen for Beast Coast that shouldn't necessarily be the case. I mean, you even said it. They were throwing everything except the kitchen sink at that guy. I mean, stuns and frag grenades coming in, and he's still able to win the duel against Iconic, who somehow still got blinded as well. I don't necessarily know how that one happened, but with the flash grenades, or the flashbangs obviously getting buffed, it's been a little bit different for these players to try and get used to that based off of the distance, so more than likely just got unlucky when he was approaching the window. But either way, for Astralis, this round is going to be yet another coasting through the first minute and a half, not really trying to get into the building just yet. Obviously, it is going to be that mid-floor defense. We've seen Astralis go for this before. This is where they had that beautiful execute swinging in from heaven, as well as that pressure across from bar to get that nice pinch onto these members. And I believe they ended up getting 2 earlier on here before transitioning that into a nice plant down low. Also had a flood in from Iconic for the hell door, so we'll see what Astralis can get done this time around.
Astralis at the moment taking their time with the initial clear here. Yes, they do have that third floor staging ground, but this is where we've seen them getting stuck more times than not. Even in that last round, we saw that issue come back in a big way as they're able to take top red, but that issue moving beyond that, specifically down to the first floor. Half the round now gone, and similar amount of control still needs to be taken by the Astralis roster, but they are working on it, as you can see, trying to swing in for some pressure. At least it's just going to be the Gemini here. Yep, so just the scout moving forward to try and spot out Alec, and they'll succeed in that duty. But in terms of actually pushing out against this, still a bit more work to be done, and a bit more utility from the defense to stop that. As you can see, one of the toxic babes getting chucked down. I do think that that is the last one, and indeed it is from Anthony there. So no more will they be able to hold it off after this. And even worse news for Beast Coast. Now they lose the first fight yet again, as Fozo will go down to Iconic, who's continuing to sing true with these bullets to make sure that they get the first strike going.
There we go.
Now Anthony finally going to have a chance to strike on his own, as he's going to tear things apart on the Whitehall push. 2 kills going into his favor. Had to wait a while to get it. It costed him a couple teammates, but the job is done. And now Beast Coast controls the numbers game yet again as we go down to a 3v2 with just 35 seconds left.
Well, if you're going to bait, win. That's the biggest thing. The M590 with 2 big kills there, but Iconic's still going to get the equalizer. He has been on another level today, currently 7-3, but you can say the same about Sippin, 7-2 right now. It's going to be a battle of the MVPs. Frag grenade in for Iconic. He knows someone's deep inside of raiding, but he's aware of the player inside of Laundry. That's the biggest thing. The game sense got to be top tier here, and he gets ahead of Sippin. It's a triple for him on the round, and now Anthony, he's got the drop and the case. The M590, so dangerous in these close positions, and it's going to be a quad. He only needs 4 shells to get it done, and that's going to send Astralis down into the loser side of this cafe. Round 6 up next as Beast Coast takes the lead.
Fortunately, you can't beat a shotgun with a sprinkler, so
yeah,
so that's what that thing sounded like anyway. But we are going to see Astralis falter despite the great entry work coming in there from Iconic, and really cannot overstate that enough there. Iconic doing some fantastic work to try and keep the team in controlling status throughout most of that 5th round there, but unfortunately all for naught at the end of it there due to the great work coming out on the shotgun from Anthony, both upstairs and in the dying seconds from that corner.
I mean, it's just super unfortunate because honestly, just based off the positioning there for Astralis, you know, it's kind of a gamble just dropping things in through Laundry with no one really looking into that. I mean, to be honest, you knew Iconic came through the hell door, so I don't see as to why you wouldn't rotate towards that and probably plant inside of that space, because you know that area was just walk through. Obviously, with Rainbow Six, the intel gets old very quickly, and what I mean by that is, like, you know, if you see somebody someplace 5 seconds later, they could be basically anywhere on the floor that you're on if they sprint somewhere. So, like, based off of that, knowing the defender's positioning down low, they didn't really have it. So just dropping into Laundry or going back to that other space, yeah, it's a little bit more risky, or to drop into Laundry. So I understand what it's a little bit more risky dropping into Laundry, but it's still like a very straightforward play for the offense. I just think that he more than likely should have went back to try and assist Iconic in that, but that's neither here or there. You know, that's a little bit nitpicky. Either way, for Astralis, it's just coming down to those crunch moments where they're not able to get things done, and that can be inside of the team play or really just how Beast Coast have been able to battle back. They just let this shotgun constantly pop off inside of that round. Anthony with 4 big kills there just based off of his positioning, especially around Whitehall. They didn't know that he was there. They approach it and things just all go wrong.
they kill like 2 other people in Whitehall before they even find him as well. So they're
Exactly.
probably thinking like,
So
oh, there's
it's
not
like-
going to be a third person here, right?
Yeah,
Like,
exactly. So I'm trying to soften this blow as much as I can, but it's also just like, you guys have drones, and you also have Yana for most of these rounds. So I would like to see a little bit more use in this so they don't get abused in these angles.
Oh, pretty quiet getting to the 6th round here as Astralis is still trying to build up the confidence to go for their opening red drop here. In fact, oh, never mind. I thought this was Gemini. It's actually DP Fire. So DP Fire has actually taken some control, but he is the only one at the moment in here. What is that, you know, the duality of Yana, I guess, is it really her or is it just the Gemini? But
I always
we've
think
seen
that whenever I see a Gemini as well, I'm like, what
yeah,
was
yeah. 'Cause it's not-
actually her?
I don't think we can't tell from this top-down view, I'm pretty sure. So there's no way to tell the difference.
I think the only way you're able to tell the difference is if it has the name above it? Question mark?
Oh, I think that's it. Yeah, that's how you can tell it. Try to remember. There is like one thing that we can use from time to time. Obviously, if you see the other silhouette, that helps with it too. Astralis, though, building towards this, starting to open up some of the reinforced walls that Beast Coast have out, but in my opinion, nowhere near ready to move in for an actual execute right now. This is still an intel gathering phase more than anything for Astralis, as they try to work their drones and work their players into positions to execute on the players that they spot out with those drones. But so far, just a whole lot of posturing and not a whole lot of anything happening just as of yet here, unfortunately. But I think that is about to change over the next few moments. Once again, drones are rolling in. We've got more and more players from Astralis starting to build up. It's only a matter of time before they start putting the pressure in. We could see that, at least going out against Alec there. A frag grenade goes nearly on top of him, but only knocks out about half of his HP. He's going to be able to maintain that position as a result of that. And unfortunately for the attackers here, only 1 frag remains, unless DP Fire has one here outside of his Gemini.
I'm happy that they got Jay out of Freezer, but Alex just in a death box now. The biggest thing is, though, is that they really need to hold on to this space because of the angle that they've created for Trash. You can see Iconic trying to play with that right now as well, but since Treasure got the cross inside of here, when Alex tries to make the play forward, he's going to lose his life. And now it's going to be Freezer gone. No one will more than likely be allowed to go back in there, but we'll see what they're able to get done. Sippin will fire back with the low timer. They're going to need this plant to go. That means Astralis has to hop too. Sippin, he'll be able to get 2, but not before Iconic. Oh no, he'll flood Whitehall, and he just makes it look so easy. I mean, hey guys, this one right here, it's sponsored by AIM Labs. It's a triple kill for Iconic, and what a shot it was. Cleaning it all up on white stairs, making it look a heck of a lot more bloody.
That reload is probably being regretted by Sippin a little bit there as he tries to swing into it. I'm unsure what his ammo count was, so I don't want to judge him too harshly for it. Might have been forced into it, but taking a quick look at it now there, it looks like he might have had a little bit more left in it. Regardless, though, leads to his death and allows Iconic to swing through the rest of the defenses following that, and now allows for Astralis to tie things up at 3-3 here. Both teams locked in a dead heat as they switch sides, and Astralis probably going to be a little bit concerned for this. The most promising part of Beast Coast's performance, at least last week in my opinion, was their attacks. They looked far more coordinated than we had seen in previous weeks so far here in Stage 3, and I would imagine it's only improved since then, given how well it went for them last week. So that's going to echo forth here on the Cafe at all. Astralis is going to have their work cut out for them on this the second half.
In the second half, yeah, as you were saying, we are now there, which means we're switching sides, folks. Beast Coast is going to be on offense now. Astralis will be on defense. We got some new things to talk about, and we already have some new additions here, especially for Beast Coast and what they'll be bringing to the table. We're going to have a couple of things that obviously Astralis was doing. We'll have the line brought back into play, which Astralis actually ended up using pretty well. I think there was a couple of missed rounds, missed opportunities, especially the rounds where Retro got picked very early on. They could have got some more out of it, but besides that, I still think it's a great addition here for clearing out Cafe, and it's a perfect reason for Beast Coast to be using it as well, although they're going to be going with some extra range soft breach in their department here for that, so they're not only going to have Anthony for the soft breach, and that's going to open up a couple of different angles when they do end up attacking the kitchen, but that's just not going to play into this round. Besides that, obviously the concussions are going to be able to assist, and Sippin will be able to help inside of the frag department as well, getting rid of a couple of those shields and all of the other tidbits of utility that Astralis has laying around. It's going to be that top floor defense, folks, and yeah, we're going to have a couple of interesting things here as well, especially with Shuttle coming in on that alibi.
Once again, though, just like the end of our first half here, things are going to start out quite slowly inside of the first minute here, with Beast Coast primarily just working on the drone game to try and figure out if there's going to be any extended stragglers from Astralis that they could possibly take advantage upon and knock out in the opening moments. I already see a lot of that pressure being put specifically onto DP Fire here. as he loses any bit of deployable shield that might have been here previously, and now just has the open wall. J9O as well, dodging the Gemini as it hops in front of him. He's going to just avoid getting spotted by that so he can maintain this front position over here by the bar. East Coast, in the meanwhile, here just now starting to build up the confidence to venture out from their red drop. That, along with Cigar, will give them the staging ground they need to push forward. But as we saw in the last round as well, they're probably going to spend another good 30, 45 seconds of this remaining time here on their drones. So they're absolutely sure of the setup before they commit to an execute.
Very similar pages being pulled from these books right now. I'm telling you, Beast Coast are looking very, very close to what we were seeing from Astralis on these rounds. This top floor clear, starting to get down to the last minute here as they're looking to clear out these shields as well as ADSs, and now Astralis starting to feel the same heat that they were giving to this squad in previous rounds. They're both going to drop down the laundry hatch, though, instead of lose the lives like we saw for Beast Coast, and they'll be able to fire back from down low. It's going to be a huge nitro cell for Iconic. He'll take down one, but you might as well mark it down as two, as Sippin very low on HP. And speaking of low, well, oh no, the man count for Astralis, it's looking pretty high, but for Beast Coast, not so much. Same for the drone count here, as they've lost quite a few of those, and that's not been able to play too much into this. But finally, Beast Coast are looking to reconcile with this situation, but it's all going to be for naught. They simply just trying to hop into sight and find these gunfights, and really nothing going for them. It's all Astralis on the mid floor.
It really seems like they were trying to follow like a chain of their drone intel more than anything there, especially towards the end of it. And unfortunately, it led, whether they realize it or not, into a tunnel vision situation where they're just funneling into the defense at the end of it there. And you can kind of see that as, like you mentioned, in the dying seconds of the round. They only had like 2 or 3 drones left by the end of it there. So bleeding out quite a bit of that to try and figure out what Astralis were doing in the first place, only to walk into arguably an even greater setup, not fully realizing how put together it might have been.
Yeah, I don't like the answer there at all. I don't think that was the play when it came down to them losing that member and just having the one very injured Zofia. You don't get kill hungry and try and run in there, because you're more than likely going to run into a setup, and that's exactly what they did. Astralis had all the angles covered, and there's not really anything you can do. You're walking into an area that you have zero intel on any of the positioning of any of the defensive members. And, well, here's the thing. They kind of are the people that set up all the angles, so they're probably going to be better in that area. I'm just saying. Like, it might be just a little bit of a home field advantage. So for Beast Coast, it's not going to work out for them, and now they're going to go down for one of the very first times here on Cafe. And honestly, a pretty unfortunate game so far for Alec, is he's just looking worse for wear. Currently 1-7-2.
It's not the best day on the field, but there's still a few rounds where we could see him and some of the other members of Beast Coast rebound. Jay as well struggling at 0-6 currently. While Sippin continues to excel for the team, along with Anthony there, at 9-5 and 6-5 respectively. This is oftentimes a big issue that's been plaguing Beast Coast, and to me is still their biggest issue, is the individual inconsistency that tends to pop up on a match-to-match basis, and unfortunately has continued to be an issue for me, at least, inside of Stage 3 here. Start of the round, though, we are going to see them start things off with a little bit of pressure into small bake. It's already been spotted, though, specifically by the Cade here. Shuttle is going to keep a close watch on that. The Gemini won't get very far, but Shuttle's going to watch out. Now he's going to paint a target on his back by taking that drone down, and you could already see a few more scouting out the area surrounding him for a potential pinch against this player.
They don't even have to pinch him because of the defensive setup either. That's the thing. All they need is one grenade to roll in here, and he's more than likely going to die, because there's nothing to try and prevent it. So we'll see what ends up going down inside a coat check, but that's going to be risky for him to play here just for a little bit. But you can see that this is a much more advanced setup here from Astralis, as they'll be holding onto the mid floor as well. Those are going to pour in some stuns as well as a concussion here. They're just simply going to try and flood in through this space. We'll have to see. It's going to be a Grismon, and Iconic will be able to pick up one, and that's actually going to be the sign of war for Astralis. Right when that Grismon goes off, they immediately hop into the space. They'll take out 2 inside of the lobby area. Now Alec and Sippin both down. Beast Coast, no options. Especially in the soft breach department. They've switched out Anthony off of the sledge. He's onto a Twitch now. They have Jay and Fozo remaining, but that's only going to be Habana as well as Lion. So they'll have to try and make good on these EE1Ds. As Fozo will hop inside. They'll be able to take down Shuttle. They'll claim some space inside of this area, but here's the issue, John. Astralis has control of the entire mid floor.
Very, very true, and we can already see them abusing that a little bit here, as the Ella shotgun is going to try and open up a little bit of top-down control. Actually, sorry, it's not the Ella shotgun, it's someone else's. I just panned over for a second as we were doing that, but either way, Ella is manning the top-down levels now, keeping an eye on this potential push, as Fozo is going to be stuck at coat check, primarily as a direct result of those angles here, trying to keep watch and more importantly wait this timer out a bit to try and force some more rotations, but it's not happening. Astralis are staying stalwart in their current positions. They know they have the majority of the control they need to win this out, and better yet, they still have an additional player over Beast Coast in this situation too. So they can continue to weight things down. DP Fire, though, going to get flashed out. That's the opening that Beast Coast maybe needed to work their way in, but J9O already putting these players down as they try to breach the veil, and it's just not going to work. Astralis do it again as they find themselves another successful defensive round here in the second half.
Very well done from Astralis there, you know, especially with the way that Beast Coast read that. It's all a bait for that player right inside of coat check. I mean, it's so simplistic for Beast Coast to just look at that and simply want that succulent treat. They're like, oh, no ADSs, it's a Kaid, it's going to be so easy. Just stun grenade, concuss, and just run at him. It's going to be fine. And then you get Grish modded and, you know, Ella just practically spawns next to you and you lose 2 people. So, you know, for Beast Coast, it's just, you really can't get too much done when you have an opener like that. I mean, this is Rainbow Six Siege at the end of the day. When it's a 3v5, you are never supposed to win that. And when you do, it's a decently rare occasion. So we're going to see a timeout here from Beast Coast as they try and figure out how to make this offensive work.
Very, very true indeed. Unfortunately, the coat check challenges in general have just not been working out for either team here today, as they've been plagued with issues of players winning fights inside of coat check that normally would not end up going the defender's way due to the amount of pressure coming out against that specific player. I already see one change up for the Beast Coast roster as they're getting ready for their timeout to end here. They are going to bring a Jackal potentially into the play. Now, this is pre-6 pick, so it could go away, but I think that that's an interesting change-up if we're going to see it stick, which we won't, I think, as that's going to go back to a Zofia pretty quickly as the pause is actually taken away.
So no fun things coming out here for Beast Coast, but just going to be sticking to their guns. We'll have a 6 pick come in for the defense, so we'll have at least one here inside of this round. It'll be the Mute instead of the Clash, and either way, that makes sense for Bar Cocktail. I mean, you can bring the Clash, you can bring the Mute, but obviously Mute having some changes recently, so he's not going to be able to defend those walls in such a strong way as he used to previously. So we'll have to see what they want to do with these Mute jammers and their placement. Might have to double up on some walls and things like that, but either way, looks like Astralis will be going for the Goyo setup inside of the bathroom space. To see what they want to do with that overall here, if they're going to try and add anything else to the mix. Obviously, they're not going to be bringing the Aruni gates. They'll be bringing Jaeger and Wamai instead.
That extra mitigation to try and fend off the nade spam that will more than likely come out from Beast Coast at some point during this round. We already saw it, I think, on the first attack that Beast Coast made here, trying to dump the nades in and overwhelm a couple of the players from Astralis, but fortunately it was not always the easiest task due to the specific mitigation that had been set up. A couple top-down angles going to be aligned here as well for some additional defensive options for Astralis to use, whether it's from top or down below. More than likely going to be down below, as this room is usually lost for the defenders relatively quickly. We'll see how long that Astralis can hold it, though, as they've got both of the deployable shields extended out here, both in the corner as well as over towards the bathroom itself. So lots of play potential for Astralis here, and that will continue for Iconic as well. Though Iconic, yeah, you got to get the heck out of there, my man. Staying around just for a bit too long. Tries to timing the Nitro cell on what would have been the second Sludge swing, but is a little bit off that, although it is a valiant attempt.
The advanced rat strats, you know, just trying to get these picks early here with the Nitro cells. That's like the worst feeling when you're playing Sledge on this map as well. I'm always so scared when I go to get those hatches, just waiting for someone to try and blow me up. But either way, looks like Astralis are going to be setting up some pretty interesting deployable shields, especially around this white stairs area. That's going to deny the angle outside for the AC unit you can jump up on, so it's going to make white halls a little bit easier for Astralis to play, all except for obviously the white hall window if anybody were to try and pick that up. For Beast Coast, though, they're not really doing too much with that space. It's only going to be sipping across on the east hand side. It's going to be the rest of the unit over towards Christmas and trying to identify what's going on inside of this space. That's going to be up to Alec, as well as something I just wanted to notate, guys. We're, what, halfway through this round right now? Let's look at the drone economy right now for Beast Coast. Why don't we? We already lost 3 on Fozo and Alec. We lost both of Anthony's, and we lost one of Sippin's. This is the biggest thing right now. I noticed this inside of the last round. I just wanted to see if it was going to continue. They have time and time again just thrown these drones to the wind, and it's just allowed Astralis to be able to get so much done inside of this last minute.
even more dangerous combination when Beast Coast seem to be fairly heavily reliant on the intel from those drones to get their executes done here. So we'll see how true that is in a moment, because like we're seeing, again, the count continuing to diminish itself as it goes lower and lower. You're going to see probably a bit less confidence come out from Beast Coast, just because it takes them longer to reassert where these positions are going to be played from. That kill right there from J9O is going to be absolutely massive. Not only does it drop a player on rappel, it drops the case outside, down on the ground, meaning someone from Beast Coast has got to spend a good 30-40 seconds going to get that thing, and that is going to drain the time bank in a huge way, remove the player from this execute entirely as well. So here we go, they're back at it, they're pushing back in again, but what can they get done with 30 seconds left? And as Stokes has already mentioned here, and myself as well, the drone count very, very low. More than likely, they don't have enough to gather the appropriate intel on the back line here. J9O ready for the initial defense, but he will get traded out quickly by Anthony. The rest of Beast Coast now moving in with freezer control. They have the plant opportunity they needed. Let's see if they can get it down, though. Bozo will commit, but no, he'll be denied. Retro comes out, and I believe gets all 3 of those final kills. He shuts down the push pretty much single-handedly. Astralis definitely a round going their way.
Poor Beast Coast. They're so down on drones that they have to make Alec be a drone. He just crawls on the ground trying to find some info inside of Cigar, and they just can't get anything done, John. You know, this is the demon that is Cafe. This is why for a long time now, whenever we come to this map, I'm like, okay, this is going to be the test on people's utility. Because when you take too much time on Cafe, you simply just lose the round. Like, there's really nothing that you can do when the defense just has utility stacked to the ceiling. So it's just unfortunate for Beast Coast right now. They're just executing on way too low of time with way too low of intel, and there's really nothing else besides it.
So Astralis only one more needed to close this one down and seal their fate, at least as far as today is concerned here. Beast Coast now need to run it up themselves and try to pick up 3 additional rounds. That's just to take it to OT and guarantee at least 1 point from this matchup, as well as steal one, potentially from Astralis here. We'll see, though, if that job is going to be in the cards for them at all. We're going back to the second floor site, and this was arguably the most one-sided round in favor of Astralis yet. So Beast Coast will need to bring some very big changes to the table for this attack if they want any hope of holding on.
This is one of the hardest to watch Beast Coast games we've had in quite some time. I'll definitely put that out there. You know, especially when you're looking at it from like the hard breach perspective and some of these, you know, cast of characters that we think should be just blowing people out of the water right now, especially for Alec, you know, 1-9-2, but you can say the same thing for... You can say the same thing for Jay. You know, he's 0-8-2 currently, and besides the round that he had with Echo, he really hasn't gotten too much done. So he's gotten Beast Coast one of their 3, but he's also in part as to why Astralis has gotten so far ahead. So it's like, you know, really, how much are you doing inside of the game? It's just very difficult for Beast Coast overall right now.
Either way, difficult as it is, they do need to carry onward here and try to close out this upcoming round. Astralis seems very much ready for the challenge themselves as they have another extended hold up here on the 3rd floor. Quite an aggressive one, too, as you've got J9O leaning all the way in to potentially try and catch someone peeking in through the sunroof. But as you guys can see, won't be much to catch there. There will be a Gemini coming down red hatch. Those that will be quickly dispatched of, as once more, Astralis is doing fantastic work to deny most, if not all, of the intel game coming out from Beast Coast in this opening minute or two.
This is looking a lot stronger already for Alec especially. They're already starting to play through these drones a lot more, and that's what we like to see. And a big pick going to come through here as well for Sippin. These tracks starting to work out, and what a round to pick it up as well. I was actually going to hate on it just a little bit because, especially with the last round, how it played out for Astralis, why would you need a Jackal? Really nobody doing anything off of site, but this time around, definitely something that's going to get them some early picks here that will hopefully keep them inside of this game. Remember, 1 round away for Astralis and their 3 points, and how dire their situation is overall. That's exactly what they want. Looking at the overall standings, halfway through this one now, as Beast Coast have been able to procure their first man advantage on the offensive side.
Jackal pick ultimately ends up being a massive boon here. As Stokes was just talking about, Astralis playing so many players out and about, and so many players mobily doing that type of playstyle as well. Yet this Jackal is going to pay itself off in huge spades here. Try and give them the intel they need to win. Unfortunately, it's not going to catch everybody. So we will see a successful push on the 3rd floor, knockout Pozo. That's the back line. That's also the Lion going down. Front linemen still holding strongly as Alec as well as Sippin find 2 more kills to carry themselves forward towards the site. Retro and DP Fire are now all that remain. They're going to try to fend this
you
off
saw
here.
him.
Retro
You saw
sneaking
him.
back in.
There you
He
go.
can deny the plant, and he does it, and he escapes back out towards Hell as well. What a bandit play coming in here from Retro. DP Fire can still assist as well, and there's only 40 seconds left for Beast Coast to correct this error. Nitro going to go down so the DP Fire can have a top-down angle. Retro will use that sound cue to mask his own push back in. This time won't be able to deny the plan itself. Spots out a player, but it's not going to be able to execute them. Instead, it's going to be young Alec that gets the job done as DP Fire trades one out from above. He's got to go on a predictable rotate, though, down through this hatch, where they will be able to catch that very, very quickly after he fires these shots out. Into the site now to try and challenge the first player towards dining room. Needs to find them on the ground first, but this player, I believe, is looking the wrong way right now.
No.
Yeah, indeed. Alec with the wrong read initially, but it doesn't even matter. Flips it back around, gets the kill anyway, and shuts out one of the 3 rounds that Beast Coast need to trigger OT.
So listen, Ubi, I think, DP Fire, you read my mind, man. I was like, listen, I don't think that you need to take the bullets away from the Roni. I don't think you need to do it, because that was just so very unfortunate. But, I mean, honestly, I'm okay with hating on the Roni. Let's just take the Commando because it has the better reload animation anyways, guys. I mean, you throw it over to your other hand. Like, what more do you want in a gun except cool animations? Let's be honest. But either way, Beast Coast are able to actually make good on what they did earlier on in the round, and that's exactly what we want to see. This Jackal, I mean, just pays off in spades. So very well done from Sippin, and a nice adjustment to punish Astralis. They were feeling themselves inside of the early rounds there, able to get away with a lot of picks onto these BC members, but that just threw a wrench into the mix, not able to play around it the way that they thought they could initially, and it was just too far gone by that point for them to really try and reconcile with the situation, although there was definitely that chance.
Astralis will have another opportunity to get a little bit less of a dominant site here as they work themselves down into the first floor hold. Remember, they won this one largely because of the off-site play more than anything there, them distracting as well as permanently injuring the attack capability coming out from Beast Coast due to what went down over towards Kochek in the following seconds after that as well. So Beast Coast will try to avoid that potential snafu this time. Curious to see if Astralis will commit to the same style of defense. It does seem like things are going to be played a bit more vertically this time, but I'll hold my breath for a few moments to see as we do have those couple pieces of utility committed. And yeah, looks like it is going to be the fallback strat from the third floor hold. We actually do have a player inside of Kochek as well, so they're going to bring more of that to the table. However, I think the upstairs team is going to have a bit more work to do this time based on those repels coming up now from Beast Coast.
Yeah, I highly doubt that Beast Coast thinks that Closet is the easy play this time around again, and they're definitely not going to. And they actually ended up adding more utility to that space anyways. Past the Grishmont mine, they also brought Wamai to the table, and that's the space that Shuttle will be playing and adding discs to over time. So it's going to progressively get more and more difficult. The Beast Coast currently focused on the second floor here, and they have quite a few members between the second and third floor for Astralis currently. Quite a few of them around this cigar area. They're going to have to deal with the M590, so going to be pretty fun when it comes to these close quarter battles. But is he going to read that Alec is closing? Oh my god, look at that range. Just takes him out with a singular shell. Alec no longer existing as this terrible track record from the day continues. Iconic, he'll add to it, and now Astralis, they found their round. Now they just need to win it.
East Coast, unfortunately, losing control over the intel game there allows for these Astralis members to get aggressive, most notably the wide stairs push we see most recently to get in the face of Beast Coast and take down a second player here. They've got to get a handle on this now, otherwise they're going to continue to bleed down players like that and unfortunately leave themselves with a force that realistically cannot close out on this round. Not only are they going to have the numbers disadvantage to deal with now, but Fuzwa and Sippin need to retake control over their case because it is stuck up on the third floor right now. Sippin will get one, but immediately exchanged by Retro, leaving Fozo all by his lonesome over here by the balcony doorway as well as the library door, and he won't be able to survive there for too long. DP Fire gets the finalizing kill, and Astralis come out on top with the win today, as well as 3 points to top it off as they get it done in regulation, 7-4.
Iconic, DP Fire, and J9 all had double-digit frags there. Every single one of them, 10 kills or more inside of this game. Astralis warming up. Iconic, 15, DP Fire 10, and J9, 11 frags inside of that one. Not only was it done inside of the strategic department and the way that Astralis picked apart these offenses, really dealing damage to that, intel department, but it was also done through the frags and the way they played around this